Hey everybody, welcome into the Hive. I'm your host, TheBee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. Our pollen is silver and our nectar is gold, preserving our wealth as honey of old. And like ancient metals, we hold our own. And today we're going to be talking with Everard of ARK S.G.O Osmium. He has a brick and mortar shop and is online as well. He's out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And let's bring him up and have a talk. Ian, welcome in.
Hi, thank you for having me back on.
Of course. Love having you and getting your perspective out of Jackson Hole. Very cool place to have a brick and mortar. And how have things been here these past couple of weeks since we last talked?
Been on the phone a lot of the time, a lot of new clients, a lot of older people, retired or nearly retired, looking to get out of the system and into something private and secure.
Awesome. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was just looking at the figures with the run up with silver on the rolling year. Silver's up over 75% now. It's overtaken platinum again.
Yeah, I noticed we're pushing up towards 40 or 54. Man, oh man, it's hard to keep track of these numbers when it's moving so fast. Up to 54 now, or 53.
It was having a go, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
53.72 live, I think.
Awesome. So, yeah, that's cool. Let's say welcome in Jake's Custom Parts. Neil, David C31. Don't think I've seen you in here. Welcome in. Good to see you. Good to have you. Mr. Happy Stacker. Good to see you as well. So, yeah, let's see. Where should we start? So let's start off with silver and its value being jumped up quite a bit since the last time we talked about recycling. Now that we're getting up there over 50, I wonder, and I know you may not know this, but I wonder if that's getting close to bringing more silver refiner, or not refiners, but silver recovery, as far as getting it out of old equipment and recycling it and getting a hold of it that way. And then also maybe for bringing on more silver mines. You think we've had enough of a move that any of that might be affected?
I think it's too late. Even to increase the production on an existing mine, it's going to take infrastructure, mine alterations, extra labor, extra machinery. If you haven't got a mill, you've got extra transport to transport it to a mill. So will it? I don't know. I have a few clients who are pretty into the silver miners. They keep me sort of up to date. They're very disappointed how a lot of the juniors are doing relative to the silver price.
Yeah.
As to bring in on more refining, I don't know. I think with the ever increasing technology, the amount of silver in each device has been dropping, but the quantity has been increasing, the total quantity used. So I just don't think it's economically recoverable almost at any price, but definitely probably not sub $200. And who is going to invest hundreds of millions, or I don't know, whatever it would cost to set up a plant? And then you've got to get secure supply of material to recycle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
So what would happen if, so you set up a plant here in the States, and then China announces you're just about to open your doors and start buying stuff to recycle, and China says we'll do it for half the price, send it to us.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to get sensible government action. And should we? Should we have an intervention? I don't know. possibly when silver was a lot cheaper, we should have had some government intervention.
Intervention on the side of recovery.
And strategic stockpiles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, go back, what we were 4 years ago, we're under $18. That's when the US government should have, I don't know, who was president then? I don't know.
It would have been maybe Trump
or Biden had a chance.
Biden,
but obviously they weren't. I think there's an arrogance or presumption. I mean, that's a much deeper discussion, isn't it? Where America is going from here and how fast it's going to take that journey.
Yeah, well, for me, I've been kind of saying that I think we've been purposefully having the legs kicked out from under the U.S. for quite some time now, and it only seems to be accelerating from what I can tell. So, yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. I wanted to play a little clip. Maybe I'll just bring that up now, kind of along these lines, where you have Tucker Carlson talking to a gold. I guess he's in the gold industry. I didn't know who he was. His name is Chris Olson. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. But I guess Tucker Carlson is like joining up with him to open up a gold company. And I wanted to just play a couple quick minutes of this. I thought it was quite telling, this little part of this conversation that they were having.
And I don't think there's a book in the Bible that doesn't mention gold, for example. But many ancient texts mention gold. So do you ever wonder, like, in this coin that I'm holding, was any of this gold, in the Second Temple?
Oh, it's certainly possible. Pretty much all of the gold in circulation remains in circulation. So there's always new gold being mined and added to the supply, and that's about 1% to 2% per year of the total supply. Yep.
So gold inflation is 1% to 2%.
Right. Very manageable. But typically gold is not lost, unlike silver. Silver is used in industry, and silver is typically not worth recovering through recycling in a lot of cases. And it's used in electronic components, photovoltaic cells, for solar, that type of thing. So it's an industrial use metal. Gold is also used industrially, but typically it's going to be worth it to recycle it and recover it. And so most of the gold that's ever been mined in human history is still with us today. And so yeah, you very well could have some of the molecules in your gold bar or coin could have been in the Second Temple, or who knows where.
Interesting. You keep referring to silver. I wanted to just keep that separate. I know much less about it. Let's start with the price. What is silver trading for right now, ish?
A little under $34 right now.
An ounce?
Yes.
For silver. Okay. Give me perspective on that. Is that a lot or little, or?
It's not much at all. We think it's highly undervalued. A lot of people do.
Why do you think that?
Well, throughout history, gold has typically had a value relation to silver of between 12 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold, or maybe 15 to 1. It's kind of floated around there. That's typically been.
How far back can we track that?
Oh, we can track that many centuries. There's plenty of evidence for it.
That's the cool thing about precious metals. Like, people keep records.
Yes.
I mean, there's a continuity to it. Like, we're not the first people to have this conversation.
Right. We're not reinventing any wheels here.
No.
Like, this is a tried and true method of running economies.
So it's 12 to 15x. Gold is 12 to 15x silver, typically.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Today, right now, the ratio is about 90 to 1, which is very high. 90 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Well, there's a lot of reasons why people say that is, and suppression is one of the main ideas.
We'll just ask the obvious question. Has there been a big expansion in supply?
Oh, no. No, the supply continues to go down. And if you look at what the miners pull out of the ground, people are mining gold, and silver is often found with gold.
Really?
Vice versa. Yeah, typically. And what's coming out of the ground, the ratio is about 7 ounces of silver to every 1 ounce of gold, roughly. It's between 10. It depends on the mine, but 7 to 10 is the ratio.
The gold is worth 90 times the silver.
Correct.
Huh.
Correct. So,
well, then that doesn't make any sense. So if there hasn't been a massive expansion in supply, but the value, relatively speaking, has dropped like dramatically, then what is that? Well,
it's part of it has to do with the fact that silver is not a medium of exchange right now. It's not used in the marketplace. And also central banks typically don't carry silver on their balance sheet. So we look at the price of gold right now. The vast majority of that price run up is the direct result of central bank purchases, who are preparing for some type of potential revaluation event, it would seem. Silver, on the other hand.
So yeah, I just thought that was funny, his take on that. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. And I would have to agree with that. It doesn't make any sense at all. All the gold that's been mined is still held above ground. Silver's not the case. It's been getting used up. And, it has been way back, thousands of years. It's been at a ratio of 10 to 15 to 1 for, my goodness, most of history, recorded history. And since gold has been taken off, since we've been taken off the gold standard, silver has just been hammered down. We're sitting at now we're more at 80 to 1. But if anything, it should be the other way around, in that gold should be running up more, silver should be running up more than gold, because we're using so much more of it. It ends up, going into landfills or being used up. So, the ratio should be closing instead of gaining in such a crazy ratio like that. What would you have to say on any of that?
Yeah, it's a process. As the general population stopped seeing or even understanding gold and silver as monetary metals, they lost that role in the general population. But gold always kept it with dynastic family wealth, with the central banks. The whole Basel III of classifying gold as a tier 1 asset, I think that goes back nearly 20 years or a lot longer. And nations could self-declare gold as a tier 1 asset a long, long time ago. And so that ratio, that's one of the reasons I've always focused on silver. As gold goes up, silver's going to go up faster. The last year, gold is up 57.83%. Silver's up 75.36%. So I know which one I would rather have held for the last. And that's the rolling year. And I didn't pick that to get any dramatic figures. It's just that's what comes on the charts. So we're down to a 78 ratio. But that is still, when you pull up the all-time chart, that's still in the lofty peaks.
Yes.
So I think a realistic is 35-40 ratio. And I think we'll get there pretty quickly. I don't think it will be decades. I don't think it'll be even years. I think we'll see a 40 or 50 to 1 ratio next year, as gold is rising as well. And part of the reason is just the spot price of silver tells us it's detached from being solely an industrial metal, with the bulk of it being a byproduct. So it's going to get produced. Even if they had to give it away, they're going to produce that. Silver's going to get produced. So with only 20-25% coming from mines that generate more than half their income from silver, that's the floor, that all-in sustaining cost. Well, some mines are $14, some are $22. The price would be a little bit above $20 if it was still solely an industrial metal. So it's obviously detached. And I think it's there's a shortage.
Yeah, there's been a few things there. So it being both an industrial and monetary, that should only add more value as well. Like when I'm looking at all these things,
it does. It's just delayed. It has already. It's baked in because it's being consumed. Yet it's still dramatically affordable compared to gold. As human action kicks in, as people realize that their fiat currency cannot, will not, and has never stored value. And that's just a trick, a lie, people's brains are wired from birth to believe in the system, to believe in you follow the rules, and 80% of people are followers. You know, you get your grades, you go to high school, you get a degree, you take out loans to do that, you buy a house, you take out loans to do that, you buy a car, you take out loans to do that, you buy a boat, you take out loans to do, and then you buy investments, and they sell you back collateralized loan obligations. They sell you your own debt back as an investment. That can't carry on for much longer, and it won't carry on for much longer. So I think people are waking up and realizing if they want to preserve their purchasing power, they have to get into precious metals. And soon as we get a fraction of a percent move their wealth, trillions of dollars stored up to spend in the future, then we'll see that 40 to 1, 30 to 1 ratio really rapidly, because people will do their own research and they'll come to the same conclusions that we have, that silver is drastically undervalued.
Yeah. In fact, I would think that, like, in my mind, looking at silver and looking into it as much as I have, I would say even without the falling value of the fiat dollar, silver would still be in a good investment. You know, the reason I first got into silver was just because I seen the fiat problem. Yeah. But now that I've looked into silver so heavily, even if fiat wasn't falling like it is, I think silver would be
still going to do better.
Still a good investment. Yeah.
And you know, it's been institutionalized, a degree of misinformation and suppression. I mean, you've got Jeffrey Christian of CPM Group. Maybe you should invite him on, challenging him to a debate. But he clearly stated a couple of months ago that silver could get to 50, but it won't be able to hold 50. Well, we're going to see pretty soon, aren't we? Because we broke through, we touched 55, we came all the way back down to just under 46, and now we're back knocking on 54. So if 50 becomes a floor, then how is the head of CPM Group going to explain when he said that silver could never maintain $50? Which was an absolute bizarre thing to say, because there's no rationale to that, because that was basically stating that they'll cease debasing the dollar, which can't be done without creating a complete financial collapse, and that in that financial collapse, silver would go up, not down. So how somebody who's educated and claims to be a specialist can say silver may reach 50 but never hold it is bizarre, unless there's a motive behind it, that he's part of a system to say people, yeah, you're better off buying Bitcoin. You know, talking about Bitcoin, if you bought Bitcoin exactly a year ago instead of silver, you would be down 5.9%.
Yeah, silver is just crushing Bitcoin.
It is crushing it, yeah. And the gold to Bitcoin ratio and the silver to Bitcoin ratio. But interesting, on a little side note, I've got a new client, and he's been studying platinum for a long time. And if you pull up the platinum to silver ratio, platinum is about the most undervalued it ever has been compared to silver, which is interesting. So,
yeah.
And well, those are, you know, when you look at the chain of what is undervalued to what is undervalued, the dollar is undervalued to gold, silver is undervalued to gold. Sorry, the dollar is undervalued gold is undervalued compared to the dollar. Silver is undervalued compared to gold, as we just looked at. That ratio is out of whack. And it looks like platinum is seriously undervalued compared to silver. So that will make Neil happy. He was right all along.
Yeah, silver and platinum are my kind of, as far as your mainstream metals, precious metals, those are kind of the two that I favor.
And as a dealer, platinum has been nasty. You know, for years, it's just done nothing.
Right.
You could, if you hold inventory and don't turn it, it's not doing anything. It's just losing purchasing power, you know, until recently. But now you can't even buy it. I mean, I bought 40 ounces in the last 2 days from the world's largest wholesaler. They have 5 ounces left. It's like, what?
Wow.
What's going on?
Yeah.
There isn't any retail platinum.
Yeah, the total I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but I think the total mine supply yearly for platinum,
190 tons.
yeah, almost not even 200 ton there. So just a tiny market. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right there, Neil. Yeah, that was the time really to buy it in the $800, $900 range. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
for sure.
Yeah. Beefy Farmer, welcome in. I don't think I've seen you in here. Good to have you. So yeah, in just industrial
Yep.
use of silver has had us in a almost going on 6 years deficit now.
It depends how you look at it. 5 years if you don't count the ETFs. And I suppose there's a presumption that the silver in the ETFs is for sale. Well, it's
Right.
not.
Right.
It's only for sale, supposedly, if the people have their dollars converted, supposedly, to silver in an ETF, decide to sell their silver and get the dollars back. Otherwise, it's stuck. It's consumed.
Yeah. And
So that, if you count the ETFs, we're in over 7-year deficit now.
Yeah. And that's without really monetary demand. And I think now that we're creeping up back over our nominal high of $50, it's gonna bring some eyes on it that haven't been on it of late. And that's just kind of a spiraling, self-fulfilling thing where the more it goes up, the more interest is going to come in, monetarily speaking.
And another function, and I don't know who, I really should take better notes, but I remember hearing somebody, and he made a really good point. He said, as the price of silver goes up, it actually adds value because it adds another characteristic, and that is wealth density. So, I mean, that RCM is nearly $5,400 now. I mean, okay, you'd have to have a good belt on if you put that in your pocket and took that out shopping. But you can get a good truck for $5,000 if you know what you're looking for. I just picked up a 1957 Studebaker, 2 owners, with a tipping body on it, 14-foot tipping body for $5,000. So I could have bought it for that and got change.
Nice.
You know, so
Yep.
its wealth density is increasing. So it becomes more viable as money.
Indeed. Yeah, and that's that self-fulfilling thing. The more and more eyes are going to come on it, and it's going to keep going up, and that's just going to cause more monetary demand. And once industrial sees the price taking off, they're going to want to start getting in sooner than they can.
I mean, they're going to start thinking it makes sense to buy in advance if it's continually rising. And then they look, oh, okay, it's gone up 75%. So if we bought a year's supply, we would have made 75% on our inventory. John, in accounts, how much did we make for our cash on deposit? 4%. Like, well, you should have bought silver. Yes.
And what's inflation? Yeah.
When it carries on, you're right. There's another huge surge. Industrial consumers will think, well, you know what, we might as well try to buy the next year's supply.
Yeah.
Well, then, but it's not there.
Right.
It's almost got to a just-in-time basis. And with China now announcing they're not going to let silver leave China, apart from in goods and products, I guess, and might be an end of these guys might really be extinct. You know, I think that's the last 2015. Yeah, that's the last 1 ounce panda. So I don't know if they'll stop even doing coins, maybe.
Wow.
So good point there. I mean, why, if you're running a business and you think if you got cash reserves and you're using silver, buy your silver. I mean, we saw that with lumber. We saw some of the big house builders stock up by huge inventories ahead when they think the price is really low. So if you're running a business, especially if it's a listed company with shareholders, you have a duty to buy your silver in advance now, unless you presume it's going to be cheaper in a year's time.
Right. Yeah, unless you're listening to Jeffrey Christian, right?
Yeah. I did have the pleasure of meeting him once. It was a surreal engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's been known in the industry for throwing odd curveballs that everybody
think
has
so.
to just kind of jaw
Yep.
dropping. Did he just say that type?
Yeah, and then there was another guy, and who said people buying the ETFs could never cause a squeeze on silver because the ETFs turn around and short the crap out of silver as soon as people buy more ETFs. And it's like, hang on, that's not the role of an ETF. The ETF is to purchase the silver, allocate it, take for dollars, and buy silver and keep the silver.
Yeah, he said it was
the product that your client is buying in the hope of it going up in value to try and make it drive it down. It's like, I can't even remember who said that, but
he actually, no, you're right. He said that, but he actually said when you're buying the ETF, that is the shorts. Those are the shorts.
No, he said they turn around and short separately as a separate trade.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what.
So when you're buying into it, you're shorting it. Is basically what he was saying. Yeah. So that's just.
I think now, I didn't see the episode, but Gareth Soloway, I think he said he thinks they've lost control. I don't think they've lost control, but they're losing control. And one theory that I put out in Commodity Culture on yesterday was, well, if you're in a position and you're connected with a lot of traders, so you can agree to short at a certain time to have a greater effect and spoof the market, even place shorts and then withdraw them, but it looks like there's huge short positions coming on. And at the same time, you short the junior miners because they're going to fall even further as a percentage from physical silver. You could make an equation where you could almost guarantee you're going to win. So if you could lose on the short on the physical silver, but you'd make more on shorting junior mining companies. And that could explain why junior miners are just irrationally low below their profits. They're printing money. They're printing currency.
But I hear you and I agree. But if you're into, buying ETFs, of course, we just like the physical here. But if you were into the ETFs, that would be probably a good time to look at the miners because you want to get them when they're on their bottom or
unless
sorted
unless you think the great taking is a possibility,
which I do personally.
I think it's a probability.
I think so too. I've been following. In fact, if you guys don't know about the great taking, David Rogers Webb, I think is his name, and you should look into that. And he's actually
because in a crisis, us plebs own nothing unless we've got it in our physical possession and no one knows we've got it. Otherwise, we don't own it.
Yes.
It's up for grabs.
Yes. That's key to why I do physical and why we should have physical. And I don't know. I don't really want to get into all the details of it, but you should look into the great taking for those of you who have not, because that's especially if you have anything in the paper market. That's a scary thing that's happening there. But
it's convenient and it's low fees and it's probably marginally cheaper than paying to vault silver, but not a lot, because the costs to run the ETF, they sell silver down to pay the cost to run the ETF. So you're eroding there is a cost that is not insignificant.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, Eric Sprott's PSLV is great, because it's independent and it's ethically run, but it's stored in the Royal Canadian Mint. Now, I've joked a few times, I wouldn't be surprised if King Charles states one day, actually, we own the Royal Canadian. No, we own the land that it's on. Look at this chart on 1482. Right. We actually still own the land, and therein everything that is upon it on the date we say we're coming to get it.
Right.
And then the Royal Navy will sail in, and I don't, and take it. No, that might be a bit extreme, but there's nothing like knowing where your wealth is and what it is, where and what it is.
Yeah, well, if you, yeah, like back to the Great Taking, they've been working on passing laws to underhandedly pull everyone's value into their hands. So it's a long ongoing project they've got going on over there. But so speaking of, I also wanted to jump over here and share this. Let me share this page about the UAE. Have you seen what they did with their latest big silver bar? So the United Arab Emirates, or however you
Oh
say
my.
that, in Dubai, the world's largest silver bar unveiled in Dubai.
Okay.
Um, so they've got like a 2-ton silver bar here.
That's
And
very interesting, isn't it? Why now?
well, why do you think? I mean, it's, for me, it's obvious why. But and then I was reading on it down here. So for one thing, it's commemorating them becoming the UAE in 1971.
Okay.
And so it's 1971 kilograms, 1,971 kilograms. And they talk about how, I was reading a bit about it here, and it talks about how they are using it to tie to tokenization.
Okay.
So this is like, it's designed to accelerate the development of a secure, transparent, and scalable framework for tokenized commodities. But yeah, like you say, why now, and why
And why
out of
silver?
all?
That is fascinating because you also always associate those nations of gold, don't you?
Yes, yes, and
So, I mean,
there's,
that shouts loud. Why not the world's largest gold bar?
well, I think you and me probably know the answer to that, and
Yeah,
like many,
they're stockpiling silver.
yes, and a few more uh, countries or central banks are starting to do that. And out of all of the things that they could have celebrated their commemoration on, that they do it with a silver bar. So yeah, I think that's very telling
Mm.
on what's to come for silver. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and then yeah, so I also was gonna bring people over. So for those of you who don't know Ian of ARK Silver Gold Osmium, pretty much everybody on my channel does. However, I see some new names in the chat. Thanks for being here, guys. This is, change my tab here. So here we are over here at ARK Silver Gold Osmium on his website. Come over here and check out some of the deals he's got here. And then also, he also has a YouTube channel, ARK Silver Gold Osmium. If you go down in the description of my video, I have a link, and you can just click on and take you to his channel and subscribe to him. I'm gonna watch just a short clip of this and
1/4 of a ton of nickel. At the moment, the price is on the floor of nickel, so we thought let's try some nickel. And next to it, 3 44-pound boxes of 4-9 fine copper. We chose 4-9 fine copper because it's purer than the 1 ounce rounds and copper bars that are traditionally sold to the retail bullion market. And this way, it's a lot cheaper per pound.
so yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit about copper. There's been both love and hate shown towards copper in our community, and everybody kind of knows, or most people know, that the 1 ounce rounds of copper selling for $2 to $3 is pretty harsh on the markup there. Most people, including me, don't really
It is because
say
you need
it's a,
14 of those 1 ounce rounds is about a pound of copper. So if you're paying $2 that's $28 a pound.
Okay.
Whereas the commodity price is hovering around the $5 per pound. So you're paying over 5 times the commodity price. Now, yes, you're paying for the striking cost, but it's still a dumb way of buying copper.
Yes, and I noticed, I heard you say in this that this is actually the copper that you're selling is 4.9s fine.
4.9 low oxygen, so the highest industrial grade. Yeah.
Okay, and that's actually higher than most
Yes.
copper rounds. I did not realize that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so
and eventually it might not be that long. As silver keeps rising and becomes used more as a monetary metal, copper's going to be the change for silver.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we're getting and the funny part about that is we just ended the penny. Now it's been not copper for a while. They took the copper out of the pennies in '82.
Yep.
And
now they've ended it completely.
Now they had to, now this new debate, or the lesser valuable penny that they put in copper's place, now they've had to withdraw that because of its value. So, like you say, eventually at the rate we're going, copper will be changed for silver. And
it's easy to identify. It's useful. So we've got it in that box of these nuggets. And these are almost 7 to the pound. So these are almost exactly 2 ounces. They sort of vary because obviously they're just industrially, they make a thick cable and they just chop it off into chunks. But it's fun to have a few around. And then the nickel is pretty interesting. It's in these squares. Just cut.
Yeah, I love those nickel bars. Those are sweet.
Yeah.
And that's 3.9s 5 plus
3.9 plus on the nickel. Yeah.
Cool. So guys, if you're interested in any of those side metals, of course, I love silver is my favorite place to go to or start. But if you've got a good base in those, Ian is a great dealer for pretty much all of your metals. He's got great deals on silver and gold that are hard to be beat, if not near impossible. He's right there on the cheapest I can ever find on your silver and gold. Plus, give him a call and talk to him because he has great knowledge on some of these other metals that people don't know about. Of course, within his name is silver, ARK S.G.O Osmium. So he was the flagship dealer here in America for Osmium, which we talk a little bit or quite a bit about here on this channel as well. But also he's got into rhenium 1 or 2 years ago now, and has done
just over a year ago. Yeah,
he's done really well in rhenium as well. And also he has great deals on pure nickel and pure copper. So definitely look him up there. So let's hear a little bit about rhenium here since I brought that up.
Yeah, rhenium is fascinating. It's a byproduct from molybdenum, which is a byproduct from copper mines. So some copper has molybdenum in, and some of that molybdenum has rhenium in. About 40 years ago, maybe a little bit longer now, they were seeking longer lasting alloys that can cope with higher heat for jet turbines, because they have to run ideally 1,500 centigrade. So the alloys they were using just couldn't stand up to that for long, especially with the centrifugal forces, equivalent of 20 tons per turbine blade, the forces on it. So it has to cope with that when it's extremely hot. And they found out the key alloy to put into the mix is rhenium. And without that, we can't make a modern jet engine. That's where 80% of the rhenium goes into jet engines, also any high heat turbine engines.
80% goes into jet engines.
Yeah. Rolls-Royce Now, you can grok this and Google this and AI this. It won't tell you the answer. Rolls-Royce needs 18 tons next year. The whole world production is 50 tons, and there's about 25 tons of recycling. So just one company needs 18 tons. General Electric are not far behind. We have a massive increase in the demand for jet engines. The order book for civilian aircraft is just huge. I think we're approaching 40,000 planes are projected. That increase in aviation demand is going to drive rhenium vertical because the supply is constrained. The supply cannot be increased. In fact, the supply can only decrease from where we're at because nearly half comes from Chile, comes from above surface open cast mining. They're exhausting that open cast and the yields are falling, the rhenium yields that they get from mining hundreds of thousands, millions of tons of copper. They get a few tons of rhenium. So as they go underground to mine the copper, their copper becomes uncompetitive. African copper becomes more attractive from the copper oxide deposits, which do not have rhenium in. We're going to lose some supply of rhenium in 2 to 3 years' time. So we're hitting a supply destruction and a vertical increase in demand for very high value uses. The other uses are incredibly high value. It's used as a catalyst in refining gasoline, essential for boosting the octane level. It's used as a refractory metal. It's used in space vehicles because it can cope with extreme cold as well. It's used in medical uses are increasing. China started making rhenium jewelry using about 2.5 tons a year now. And it's used in electronics. Rhenium oxide is used in semiconductors, and it's also used in the pure form for high current contact points. So we've got all of its uses are incredibly high value uses, which are not really price sensitive. So normally, as the price of something rises dramatically, the uses drop off. Well, the lowest value use I can find is as a substitute for platinum. It's used often up to 20% in a rhenium platinum alloy. So you can use less platinum as a cathode, anode, catalyst, thermocouples. So really its price ceiling is as it approaches the price of platinum. Well, platinum's about $51,000 a kilo. Rhenium at the moment is $3,800 a kilo. Yeah, talking about ratios by production, it's only 1/4. It's 50 tons a year. So just over 1/4 compared to platinum production. So yeah, it is set for success. Everything's set up. The uses are increasing and high value, so they're not price sensitive. The production is falling and it is not price sensitive because it's a byproduct of a byproduct. There are no rhenium mines.
Wow. That's the information we covered here tonight just show. I mean,
it is crazy. It is crazy.
It is crazy. The value,
the
proposition
value
that is.
It is only. I don't think it's even 2.5 times the price of silver. Yet there's 500 times more silver production. 25,000 tons of silver is produced a year.
Wow.
50 tons of rhenium. And it's a narrow supply chain. Chile produces 49%, and the bulk, the rest comes from here in the US, Poland and Kazakhstan. That's about it. And typically, the US uses 75% of the world's rhenium with our aviation, with our military, with our electronics, with our oil industry specializations in building refineries. So we have to import into the US. It's a key metal that hardly anybody knows about. Nobody's thinking about. It's just it's the ultimate sleeper metal.
Wow, yeah. And these metals are going to snowball. Like one metal leads to another metal, and you think, oh, well, we can substitute. Like you're going to try to substitute but all three of those silver, platinum, rhenium. These are just you can't substitute when they're all undervalued. There's not enough of it. I mean, these are just, there's no escaping the
it's an
value is going to run on these things.
interesting point, space miners there. when you're making a lot of rhenium alloy products, for the characteristics you need, you have to bring in virgin, fresh rhenium.
Really?
It's not because of impurities. It is some really strange metallurgical fact. It might be that when they grow, they actually grow the turbine blades. They create the alloy and they mold it in a way, but it's called a single crystal casting. There's a video out there about how Rolls-Royce make the turbine blades. It's absolutely fascinating how they coax the alloy to grow in a single crystal. And they do that to get a grain structure along the length of the turbine blade to cope with those centrifugal stresses, and
Wow.
they give it enhanced performance characteristics.
Wow.
That's why they need fresh. It's something I think to do with, if you don't, it doesn't crystallize.
Crystallization process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So David was asking, can you get it in bar form? So it's pellet,
You
right?
can. There's no need to, because it adds about 50% to the price, and its industrial use is not in the wrought maximum density form. It's in the sintered pellets where they get added to the melters use it to make the alloys for the turbine blades. They don't use wrought form. They want the sintered pellets. So we can get it. We've got I think we got a couple of pounds of scrap rhenium on the way in the wrought form. So I'll see what that comes in at. It's fascinating. As Space Miner, when we were in Denver, he took my 20-ounce bar to a polisher in Denver and got him to polish it. So its appearance is absolutely alluring. Beautiful, bluey gray. Hard to describe, really. It's almost got a depth to the shine, like you can see into the metal. It's really, really unusual. And I think that's why it's taken off in China in jewelry.
Yeah, I've got a short little video of that. I should send it to you so you can put it up, or I can put it up too. Yeah. Okay, so jumping back right quick. So the copper price. So what is your copper price at a pound then? You said $7.
I think we were selling it around $7 a pound, which is what we bought it for. We're just selling it at our cost price.
So see, that makes copper
about a quarter the price of buying it in 1 ounce rounds by weight.
Okay, yeah. Well, that makes it investable. I mean, that makes it more sensible for physical investment, because it gets a lot of hate. Like you're saying, $28 a pound. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
And even in the form where you'll see it in bars and cubes, and yeah, okay, it's nice to have a piece to mess around with. We have an 1.5 inch cube in the store to show people the comparison, the density of silver compared to the density of gold. So we've got an 1.5 inch cube of tungsten and an 1.5 inch cube of copper, because both of those, tungsten is almost identical density to gold, and copper is almost identical density to silver. So yeah, it's fun to have a piece, but you're never going to make any profit on the commodity price. Right.
But your 4.9's fine, even being a more refined copper at $7 a pound. That makes it much more sensible for actually stacking as a metal. So,
and if you want to mess around casting your own bars, I mean, it'd be good. It's cheaper to practice with than silver.
Right. Indeed. Yeah. So yeah. Good to know. That was kind of what I was wondering there. So let's hear your take on the pre-33 gold.
Yeah, premiums are starting to rise on it. I really don't think confiscation is ever going to be an issue, that they're going to go door to door demanding you show them your gold. Because to be honest, they're going to see a lot of lead and brass before they get to your gold. So that's just not going to happen. Now, maybe if you bought it from one of the major online companies, the online company will get pressured to report who's bought what, and you'll get a letter saying you bought X ounces of 1924 St. Gordon's, hand them in. It's unlikely. That's unlikely. But the chance. So there's no reason to hold it to avoid confiscation, because if they want the gold that much, they're not going to care what form it's in.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
But
Indeed.
whilst it is the same price or cheaper than the bullion strike American Eagle, it makes sense to have a bit.
Sure.
But you know, it's creeping up again, so it's getting, for a reasonable grade for AU BU, we're close now to the price of a common date gold Eagle.
Yeah. So for me, that's what, for a while when they had such a high premium, I kind of was like, oh, I don't know that the premium is worth it, as far as, just go get yourself some regular gold, because as you're saying, I don't really think the confiscation is a thing to worry about. And that's kind of, on some channels they push it, and then they say of that.
It didn't work in 1933. Only 20% people complied. That's why we still got so many pre-33.
Yeah.
That's why some of it still is even getting melted at the trough of the premiums on it. A lot was selling at wholesale just below spot.
Okay.
Because the wholesaler's alternative was to melt it. So that shows as a lot of it survived the so-called confiscation, when it was all supposed to be rounded up and melted, turned into what they called coin bars and stuffed in Fort Knox. They didn't get a lot of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So that's not an issue. It really isn't.
I agree.
If you really think they're going to go door to door to come in and take your stuff, we've got bigger issues. It's like, haven't we? I mean, that's not going to go down well for the average precious metal owner.
Right. So I got Jake here is asking, what's your take on the new Proof 2025 pennies?
I don't get involved in any of that, really.
It was. I didn't see what the last penny sold for, but I'm sure it was a high price.
It's a strange world, and oftentimes you see something sell for a high price, then another one comes on the market, then another one, then another one. Then suddenly they're selling for 1/10 of what that first one sold for. Sure. So it's not necessarily the one breaks new ground and suddenly they're all worth the crazy money. So I don't know. I think you need 100 years to begin to learn all that numismatic stuff.
So, Dub C is in the house. Welcome in, Dub C. So for those of you who are not subscribed to Dub C, go subscribe to him after you hear a pumper like me in the metals. It's good to go listen to Dub C, who has a very good even keel mind on the metals. He's been in it for a long time. Great channel, so go check him out.
It must be hard to have been in it. I mean, I only started buying in 2017 personally. So really, God has been kind to me. I hit the sweet spot, I think.
Yeah, that's with me too. And
I was always ahead. Apart from that COVID $11,
which was
that you couldn't even buy any silver at $11.
Right.
Apart from that moment in time, I've always been ahead. Even if I marked everything to market and had to sell everything, I'd be comfortably ahead. So, but to have bought at 50 or 48,
right,
and had to ride that or choose to ride that, that's hard.
Yeah.
I get it. I get why it's so hated. I don't know what's going on in the bullion by post charts, but it's showing 54.88 now.
Yeah. No, so Dub has seen more of those highs and lows with me and Ian. We know the vertical.
Yeah, and it's often said when people say this time it's different, that's the really words you should be suspicious of. But we have 80 times more currency units worldwide than we had in 1980. 80. We have about 9 to 10 times more people who have access to and the means to buy precious metals than we did in 1980.
Right.
So those are hugely different characteristics of the population of when we do get the human action and people realize they've got to buy to save their skin.
Yes, exactly.
We saw in Turkey about 3 years ago. The smart Turks sold their houses, cars, rented what they needed, and now they're buying back 5 to 10 times the amount of property that they sold. They just went into gold and rode out that huge 100-200% inflation per year.
Yes, and normally you have just one country, and that country, you know, gold and silver shoots up in that, but the other countries kind of remains the same per their fiat currency. However, us being the reserve currency of the world, this allows for the whole world to rush into gold and silver. This is just kind of my take on it, but I think that is going to allow gold and silver to run like never before. So that's
and the central bank's reserve of choice is gold, and only gold.
Yes. However, we're seeing a few central banks starting to stack silver, and we did look at what the UAE. I just showed you that bar earlier. So, and silver is just known. It runs later, and it usually runs faster in the end than gold does. So
I think it has on each of the last 7 dramatic moves.
Okay.
I remember watching David Morgan talk about it, and Mike Maloney, that each of the last 7 major moves that silver has always outperformed gold, from 4-1 to 7-1. That sort of a dramatic, i.e., that gold silver ratio goes from 80 to 20. You know, that's a 4-1.
Right.
Plus the move.
And I want to point out, so Dub says it's strange to see these prices where they are, and I know what he's talking about. However, I want to point out that the 1980 $50 high, inflation adjusted today, would be in the 200 plus range for sure.
And that's just if you use the shadow stats.
Okay.
And the shadow stats used the government methodology,
right,
which was rigged even then.
Right. Yes.
It was rigged to not fully report before they rigged it again to even less fully report the debasement. So
that's right, David.
Probably, if you did it on a genuine basket of goods and services, it's probably more like $50 in 1983, $400 now.
Right. Yep.
I mean, I bought my first house in 1984, and there hadn't been hardly any house price inflation up until that point. So that if I'd bought it in 1980, which I couldn't have done because I would have been 14 years old. I bought my first house when I was 18. It was £34,000. I think now it's around 340,000. I still got that house. So that's a 10 times increase.
Yeah.
So that would put silver at 500.
Yeah.
That would be equivalent to the real estate. Now there's distortions in that, yes.
Sure.
But not in that it's exactly the same house. It's the same bricks, the same lumber, the same tiles, glass, the same amount of land, the same amount of pipes and cables and connections and services to make it work. The only, you know, obviously there's distortions in population increase and desirability of where it is. But I think realistically, 500 will be a genuine. But even that doesn't account for the actual currency debasement, which obviously hasn't fully kicked in and shown itself in the prices. We haven't had that semi-hyperinflationary event yet.
Yeah, and like we were talking earlier, the industrial uses that are now coming into silver makes these figures even crazier, because there's just never been that type of use case for it. And that seems to only be increasing.
Yeah, photography was huge, and when we switched to digital, that was a downward driver on the price of silver for sure. So that was a single use that was using a lot of silver, and a lot of it wasn't recycled because it was so cheap. But no, I think you're right. I don't think there's been a period where for 5 or 7 years, the rate of consumption has exceeded the supply. And again, we get different figures from so-called experts. The Silver Institute, I think, estimated 2.5 ounces of above ground refined silver compared to 1 ounce of gold. Yet the CPM group, the famous Jeff the Wig, He states that practically all the silver ever mined is still available in above ground physical refined form. It's like, well, where'd you get that from, dude? It's like,
I know. Yeah.
I mean, all of the wound dressings and the weapons and the silver iodide cloud seeding and all of the silver inside of panels and glass and all of the landfilled products and computers and, you know, that's not easily available, if ever available. It's gone. I mean, can you imagine the toxic soup in some of those landfills? I mean, the hazmat equipment you would need to go in there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, good deal. So we're a little over an hour here, so I suppose I better start winding up. And but yeah, you know, and with gold being bought up by the central banks and at the value it's at now,
Yep.
with everything above ground that's ever been mined still here, without the industrial uses like silver has, with silver being used up, just silver. It's just the more I look into it, the more it screams good. And even if the dollar wasn't going down and being eroded away, I would still be saying, now that I've looked into it, silver is a good investment, let alone what we're seeing with dollar, which even adds more than normal because the monetary will run more than normal and it'll be worldwide instead of just one local. I mean, you could just go on and on with this, and it's it's
too easy, isn't it? It's almost too easy.
Yes, and for us,
it's too simple. You don't need to understand the charts and do all of this. You don't need to understand all of the, you know. You just need to look at the big picture. Yes. Why is it 80 times more current units of currency now than there were in 1980?
Yep.
You know, and what's the eventual consequence of that?
Yep.
And I think I don't agree with a lot of Miz's philosophical opinion, but I agree with his statement that an inflationary system has two ways to end. If you stop inflating it, i.e., if the nation tried to go to sound money and stopped deficit spending, its financial system will collapse. So if you do the right thing as a nation, you will collapse. And if you carry on inflating, you will collapse catastrophically, probably not at a time of your choosing. So I fundamentally agree with that. There is no way, there's no road. There isn't even a rocky road for a nation to go to sound money, only for a few individuals who get in early.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe the Saudis.
Yeah, right. It's just
maybe they've got all the silver.
Well, they've got a nice chunk right there anyway.
I know you shouldn't envy things, but I want one of those.
Right? Man, nice. All right, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on and keeping us on track here, Ian. Greatly appreciate you coming on to my channel and helping me out and helping those out that come and listen to us. And we'll keep trying to do what we can. As you know, this is just to help the people. It's not about, you know, making money off the silver. This is about helping the people out. And I think people that get into any of these metals we've discussed are going to be nothing but happy for doing so.
But make your core silver and make that the last thing you sell if you need to.
Yep. And if you're very...
Because it's not often spoken about, the privacy factor is going to be beyond the value, beyond the purchasing power, beyond maintaining and increasing your purchasing power. It's having that option to have a private store to ride out the financial repression that is upon us and will only get worse from here.
Yes.
It does not matter whether we have a donkey or an elephant in charge. It really doesn't matter.
I agree.
They're all greedy, flipping, self-seeking, controlled people.
Well, yes. Speaking of which, you had Trump and Mondani having a nice little chat.
That was bizarre, wasn't it? Yeah. I think Trump fancies him. I think maybe Trump's gay.
Yeah, well, they're. Yeah, I mean, if this, you know, we've been saying this for a while. I've been saying it for a long time, and if that doesn't prove it out, then I don't know what to say for you.
It will be interesting to see if Mandami gets co-opted into the cabal of path of self-enrichment, or if he's genuinely principled and wants to help the people who
Not a chance.
get decent housing and transport. I don't know.
No, I put my bet on that as I would put it on some of these.
You don't think he's got a chance?
No, hell no.
I think he will get local government run food into, and I think he'll do that. And obviously, it's a complicated thing to do, because then you're messing with other businesses that are trying to do that as a business model.
Yeah,
but you have got. I mean, with being the mayor of New York, you've got billions of dollar budget, haven't you? You can do things that a for-profit company probably couldn't do.
Oh, for sure, but it's just
and I don't like a lot of French laws. I don't like a lot of. I don't like their legal system where you have to prove your innocence. They arrest you and lock you up, then you have to prove you're not guilty. I don't like any of that. But do you know one thing that's awesome about France? Almost every town, village, and hamlet has good bread. And it's government subsidized where it needs to be.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with that? I love good bread.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, is that crazy? Is it crazy that people really are down on their luck? Or on such a low-paid job?
Well,
they should be able to afford decent food.
Yeah,
because
well, it's all tied to the false monetary system.
But if you eat decent food, you're more likely to stay in work. You're more likely to work your way out of a bad problem, because you can think clearer. If you're eating good food, you're going to think clearer. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be more active. You're going to be happier.
Sure.
You're going to be more. I don't know, in a better environment, you're more likely to succeed. Whereas if you're in a bad situation and you're eating flipping, I mean, what's the worst packaged food you can think about? Something like, I don't know, some of that macaroni cheese that's probably not got any flour in it or any cheese in it.
Right.
If that's all you can access and eat, that's not going to improve your lot, is it?
No.
So, okay, it might sound like socialism. Do you know what? So what if it is, if it's providing good food? So what?
Yeah, well, it's all brought on by this bad monetary system that's going to create a bad environment, no matter what.
It is, but it's also the monopolies. When you look at the monopolies of production, a lot of goods and services, it's 70, 80, 90% are just two or three companies.
Yeah, and the too big to fail stuff.
They're too big to fail. Yeah.
It's all tied to the false monetary system.
It is. Yes, yeah, it's all connected for sure. Yeah.
All right, cool. We will get you back on in another couple of weeks and see where we're at.
So eat well, be happy.
Be well, be a happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Hopefully you get some good food in you and get to enjoy the time with hopefully your family and friends.
And if anybody wants to try us out, we will find you some silver at Spot.
There you go. Silver at Spot. Let me throw his number up here. Where are we at? So yeah, get a hold of Ian. Great insights. Tell him where you're at, and he's got really good insights on where to go. I think we both agree, just like you were saying earlier, silver is a great place to start your base off with, and then you can get into the more exotics or other metals as well and have fun there as well. But give Ian a call at 307-264-9441. Email Ian, IAN, at ARK.SGO.com. And with that, we'll get you back soon, Ian. Thank you very much. For everybody out in chat, thank you so much for hanging out. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks all.